Tonight, pain and anguish as it emerges COCOBOD has failed to pay investors who bought their cocoa bills months after the completion of debt exchange program. We'll tell you the chilling story of one of the bill holders.
It's not been easy. I've got a kid in school, in the university, and I have medical bills I have to take care of. I have the house I have to take care of. And it's not been easy. So every month we try and see what we can do, but it has not been easy. So that's why we keep going to them to try and get them to tell us if anything is going on, But we don't get any proper feedback.
We have details for you on this, plus the latest from the industry itself as many demand answers.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Tonight, the fate of some cocoa bill holders who decided not to participate in the government of Ghana's cocoa bill exchange program hangs in the balance as they are unsure when COCOBOD will pay the maturing bills. They are demanding COCOBOD honest payment of the bills before the close of January. Now, they say the inability of the government to pay them the money is affecting their livelihoods, and we'll be delving into that situation for you, speaking to industry players on what has been happening since that exchange closed. Those who did not participate had been left in the lurch. My colleague James Ashan visited the Chikwam family, one of the COCOBOD bill holders, and has come through with this report.
In January 2023, monies paid to investors who purchased cocoa bills on maturity were withdrawn from individual investors' accounts without their consent. COCOBOD issued the bill to raise funds. Many had bought the bills expecting to be paid back their monies with interest on Thursday, January 19, 2023. Reports from some fund managers indicated the monies were actually paid on Thursday, January 19, 2023, only to be reversed on Friday, January 20, 2023. The banks have pointed to a directive from the Bank of Ghana ordering them to unilaterally roll over the bonds without first seeking the consent of investors. Banks were under pressure from affected customers. Echikwam, a retiree, was one of the affected customers. He expresses shock at the development since the money was rolled over without his consent.
I worked for 36 years. I started at GB Olivant and then went to Unilever. Then I went to Unilever in Zimbabwe. Then I came back to Guinness in Ghana. Worked for a short time. As for the investments, one can say I've been investing for a while. Treasury bills, fixed deposits, and all those things. And it's only recently that we took the cocoa bills.
6 months after the Ghana COCOBOD launched a debt securities exchange program, under which it invited holders of its short-term debt securities or the cocoa bills to voluntarily offer to exchange their cocoa bills. Cocoa bills holders were asked to sign on to the exchange program, but Echikwam opted out.
As part of my retirement, I got a certain amount and I put it there. If we were in another place, and then they came and made another proposal to us, which was interesting. So we moved our funds there, and we were supposed to enjoy our benefit plus our initial capital in January 20. Yeah. That this was in 2001, 2023, 2023. So we were waiting. Then we had some hints that something was up. So we wrote to them and said, look, sell our thing and give us back our investment. Okay. And they said they would try. So come the payment time, I saw that the money had been credited to our account in the morning. Before I could say Jack, it had been debited again. So we were rather surprised. And apparently this debt recovery program had been launched. So we didn't know what was going on.
Almost 6 months after, no communication on the payment for those who decided not to tender. Echikwam and wife, amongst others, are worried why government and COCOBOD are failing to honor payment of those who failed to tender their cocoa bills after government pegged the participation in the exchange program at 97%, with over 7 billion Ghana cedis bills tendered.
We have been extremely successful with the current tendering of more than 90% for cocoa bills of 7.9 billion cedis and US dollar exchange of $809 million. And detailed announcements will flow through when the settlements are done.
According to Gifty Kwam, wife of Echikwam, footing the bills of their ward in the university has been very difficult.
I think it's morally wrong. And in fact, it's legally unacceptable, I mean, the trauma even to our children who have to even go through all kinds of things and explanations. It's not right because they know their parents and they know we planned for them, So I'm begging the ministry to pay us our money. That's all. It's our money. You rolled it over without our consent and with your own interest rates. Fine. You give us our money back. Give it to us. That's all we're asking. It's not right to keep it.
The family is in total disbelief and wants their monies to be paid or a communication from the COCOBOD or the finance ministry.
Well, it's not been easy. It's not been easy. I've got a kid in school, in the university, and I have medical bills I have to take care of. We have the house I have to take care of, and it's not been easy. So every month we try and see what we can do, but it has not been easy. And that's it. It has not been easy. So that's why we keep going to them to try and get them to tell us if anything is going on, But we don't get any proper feedback.
I know you are not the only one being affected by this, but do we have other groups who are also complaining about similar situation?
Well, really, yes, there are other people also going through this. I know I don't want to mention names, but there are other people who are going through similar challenges. I know some people have died because of it. I know some people who are very sick. I know a lot of other people. But this one is, you have to cry for yourself because the way it has been done, we don't get together like the previous guys got together to stage a demonstration and all that because really we don't know ourselves.
It's a very stressful situation to go through at this time when my husband is on retirement and actually not that well,
Is there a joint investment between you and your husband or it's just...
Yes, it's his investment plus mine put together, which we invested there. And, we looked for the best option because it's like a pension stuff. We looked for something that had zero risk. And at the time, who would have thought that cocoa bills will have issues?
Cocoa bill holders, just like the Kwam's family, are asking for an update on payment for those who decided not to tender their cocoa bills. James Echen's report for Joy Business.
And my colleague Kofi joins me in the studio with a bit more on what we're learning from the details surrounding this whole cocoa bills issue. When they did this, launched what they call the Debt Securities Exchange Program, people participated. Absolutely. It was, and we've had the Minister of State talk about it in this particular report. Give it the specifics.
So this was actually the second leg of the domestic debt exchange program. And mind you, this was the only bill that was actually exchanged in the entire domestic debt exchange program. So about 7.9 billion Ghana cedis was earmarked for restructuring. The participation rate advance was 97.4%. It simply tells you that 7.7 billion Ghana cedis was exchanged, and you have about 200 million Ghana cedis of people who decided to exclude themselves from this exercise.
And that obviously will include the Kwams who have told us that they did not participate. But of course, this was voluntary.
Yes.
And as we've seen with the first line of domestic debt exchange that we saw, those who did not participate were still paid. And we'll be speaking pretty shortly with the Duan and Inchi, the convener of the pensioner bond holders, and they had asked for an exemption. But as we've seen, they've been paid. In this particular case, though, that quantum that you just mentioned there, in excess of 200 million cedis, those who were holding on to that who did not participate, all the way to were voluntary, haven't been paid at all, as we've seen and had Ichikwam stressed there. And there are many of them like that. And this is one of those becoming one of the forgotten cases. And that's why this has become an issue, because it's affecting lives. If you go to the COCOBOD itself, as we dig a bit more, those who decided to exchange they received 5 different bonds with an aggregate principal amount rounded down to the nearest 1 CD, equal to the principal amount of COCO bills tendered, in addition to any accrued and unpaid interest due on such COCO bills. Now, the 5 bonds will mature, and this is important, right? The 5 bonds will mature on 1 per year basis, right? Consecutively from and including 2024.
This year.
Right, so that's the first time that we can see this maturity.
4 years there, that's the maturity period. 4 years, 2024, 2028. That's the maturity period.
And that's why this has become an issue. I want to bring in right now Senor Hosi too, who is an economic policy analyst. You remember him, he was a former convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum. They came together and formed an association to fight for their own rights for people that he represented. Dr. Duanani Nchi is a convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum and a past director of the General Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Is a former Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission. Both of them joins us on the line right now. Senor and Dr. Donanenji, thank you very much for your time. Senor, let me start with you. First of all, what more have we learned about the COCO bills? And the story you just had there, Mr. Kwam did not exchange. He's part of those 200 million, that quantum that we just mentioned. Anything else we've learned from COCOBOD why this has happened?
Yeah, very little information has come out of COCOBOD generally, apart from the reports you've seen on their reported success of the debt exchange. Unfortunately, it's a very sad situation. Somebody like Uncle Echikwam, I grew up. I started my career in FFCD. They were the guys we're looking up to. We can't reduce our dignity to this level. These guys have really served. And anybody who is listening, any government member should find it totally unconscionable to put somebody like him and his life in this current state. It's totally unacceptable. We can't run down a whole COCOBOD. A COCOBOD that has board members, including the governor, deputy ministers, and Ministry of Finance. All these people have reacted this way and really want individuals like Echikwam to suffer for it. It's totally unforgivable and unconscionable. I think the right thing has to be done. COCO bills are typically almost same as treasury bills. All right. One, you look at the broader general government debt. It sits as part of general government debt, which is funded through short-term papers. People who go and invest in COCO bills are investing in short-term papers, 182 days, just like treasury bills. So if you are paying treasury bill holders today, you've been able to successfully respond to the need to honor your obligations to individual bondholders. These are who are having longer-term investors. I don't think you should be doing this right. You are doing right or doing these bondholders, COCO bill holders, and any form of justice. I think that government should wake up. Mr. President, wake up. Real lives are at stake. Lives are being destroyed. Families are being dissipated unnecessarily, unwarranted. And if governments have to take responsibility for it, they can't make people like this suffer for it. Their monies must be paid immediately. The Security and Exchange Commission has a responsibility immediately. When you go to the Security and Exchange Commission, they tell you that they are there for investor protection. Where is the protection?
Yeah, and that is
the protection?
And that is why I brought in Dr. Donanentry, who used to head that particular institution, Director General of SEC. And obviously, he also was of the convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. We've been trying to get the SEC into this conversation. They've declined comment just yet. Dr. Donanentry, so you just heard Senor Dem make the point that what's the role of SEC in all this as we begin to learn about the magnitude of the problem with the people who did not sign up to the exchange, who are currently suffering?
I think we are hearing this maybe for the first time, because when the government, after it has done the restructuring, the promise which has been part of the restructuring is that this is a voluntary exercise, and therefore all investors who do not take part, the obligation of the issuer will be complied with, so that they get their coupons when due and their principals when due. So if something is going to change, then the investors should be told. But I think we are hearing for the first time that these bills are not being paid. The coupons and the maturity values are not being paid. And so you ask why the issuer is not paying. These bills, the government took it as part of its debt, even though it's not a direct debt of the government. But I think the financiers said that ultimately, if COCOBOD is not able to pay, government will have to be there, stand ready to pay. So at the end of the day, the bottom line, government will be responsible if COCOBOD does not pay. And therefore, government put it as part of its debt that it was going to restructure. So if you have restructured it, just like you restructure the bonds of Dachi, the bonds of ESLA, plus your own government-owned issue bonds. Now, if you have done that also to COCO bills, then treat it as you are treating the Dachi bills and the Dachi bonds and the ESLA bonds, and pay people when it is due. Then the worst is when the issuer will not tell you anything. COCOBOD should know that it is the person, is the institution that issued the bonds, not the government. As at now, if we are talking about issuer, it is the COCOBOD which is the issuer, not government, even though government is taking the final responsibility of paying if COCOBOD is not able to pay. But that doesn't change the issuer of the bills to government. The issuer of the bills is still COCOBOD. And COCOBOD has a responsibility to come out and tell its investors what is happening. You can't just keep quiet. You are supposed to pay. That's what I keep on saying. You don't let, as an issuer, you don't go defaulting before you come and tell people that I have defaulted. If you think that you cannot pay coupons this coming Monday, come out and tell your investors, even though that's not what investors are expecting. It is better you come out and tell investors, as a result of A, B, and C, I will not be able to pay coupon on this day. Please, I'll be coming to you maybe in a matter of 3 days after the due day to pay.
COCOBOD hasn't done that.
Silent.
Yeah, COCOBOD hasn't done that. Meanwhile, we have SEC there that protects the interests of investors. They've also been quiet on this matter.
You see, the problem that SEC is also facing, SEC is facing now, is that they haven't approved these issues of COCOBOD. COCOBOD issues are not approved by the SEC. So SEC is finding it difficult to go and work on it or to approach them. But I'm saying that, and as I kept on saying, they are issuers. Whether your bond or your security was approved by the SEC or not, you are an issuer. And that is why I said when government was doing this and SEC was not talking, I said it was wrong for SEC not to speak, because the government is an issuer of securities. An issuer of securities, when it's working not in favor or against investors, the protector of investors must act, regardless of the fact that you didn't approve the issuer, the issue. Once it is securities it is held by investors. When the issuer is treating investors in a wrong way, the Securities Commission must speak.
I mean, Senor,
yeah.
Fundamentally now, their lives are at stake. You've talked about it, but we know, and it's been well advertised, the challenges that COCOBOD is currently facing. Many say COCOBOD is broke. In fact, with the cocoa bills, it was the Bank of Ghana that kept bailing COCOBOD out each time it matured until they refused to do it. That's why monies went to people's account, and then those monies were withdrawn. Who takes the tab now? And how does a person like Mr. Kwame and others, how do they get redress?
Before I actually maybe get to that one, if SEC sat down and these cocoa bills were being issued and investors were investing, this is a corporate bond, you should bear it in mind, which they're given, the Ghana Stock Exchange, they're given, they all report them. Now tell me, if I tell that all these things were not authorized and you're going to sit back, then what's the difference between COCOBOD and Men's Gold? Men's Gold is not regulated by you. We're going to go here and put your mouth inside. Wherever they are, they must come out and defend the lives of the people here. They benefit from the taxpayer. They benefit from our taxes. We are the ones who pay them to sit there. So Reverend Obama, I have a lot of respect for him. He's somebody who has inspired and helped transform the industry in different ways. You can't sit there and watch this thing happen. You must definitely be up and try to change things. Lives are safe, and that's what the mandate of SEC is about. Investor protection. These are investors. Look at the COCOBOD. Let me show you. Mention the board members. I'm sure it's changed a bit. But you have the other thing, governor of the Bank of Ghana. You have the Ministry of Finance on it. You have politicians on it. You have the Ministry of Trade on it. You have the Ministry of Agric on it. Then with all these people, who is running the government? Who is running the institution? Isn't it the same government? That is why you add it to the general government debt. So please, let's stop playing the peacock here. Stop playing the ostrich here. Please, they have to wake up to their responsibility. They are responsible. Central government is responsible for the failure of COCOBOD. Has anybody COCOBOD been filed for the mismanagement of COCOBOD? Then means that the president approves of what's going on there. Or it's also in his own greed. So he should wake up in the morning and think about the lives of the Equam. I'm sorry that I'm losing my cool, but this is a very serious matter. We cannot be sitting down, nobody is saying anything. COCOBOD is saying nothing. Bank of Ghana, which is the issuance banker, who has been facilitating the issuance of every single cocoa bill, is saying nothing. Security and Exchange Commission, who is responsible for investor protection, is saying nothing. The Ministry of Finance is only interested in going to announce 90%. What kind of joke are we trying with people's lives at this time? It is not acceptable. We have a mandate to the people of Ghana. You have a responsibility by thought to the people of Ghana, to the citizens. That put every one of them in power. They should wake up to their responsibility and make sure that these lives are protected. Get them their money. The cocoa bills are not different from the treasury bills. So if you are paying treasury bills, why are you not paying cocoa bills? You are saying that you are paying individuals. Every single individual that we fought for is getting their money today. Why are the individuals with the cocoa bills not getting their money? I don't know human beings. I don't know Ghanaians. This thing must be corrected now. So whoever is listening, Minister of Finance, wherever you are, after that post there, you will leave there one day. So while you are there, use it for good and make sure you start life properly. Good evening.
Mr. Duanonenchi, what do you recommend those affected? What would you recommend they do?
I think that, you see, it's always the information. And that is why we always say that financial market thrive on information. If you can't do something, come out with the information. Investors should know. They should expect. They are expecting their coupons to come X date. If by X day you cannot bring it, let them know.
Yeah, and they haven't done so, and that's
they haven't done, and that is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And wherever you see, the securities are listed.
Yes. What can those affected do?
Managing the stock exchange should bring these people to book. Tell them that, look, you must provide the information to the market. Let the market decide what they will do with that information, because the issuer is responsible for paying us at this date. If you can't pay, please, you must let the information go out. If the information goes out and people would react to affect the market, that is why the market is there. The market tries for information. But to keep quiet, not telling anybody anything, is wrong.
And we've been attempting ourselves to try and get some clarity from COCOBOD without success. The SEC also, and the government, the BOG also. Dr. Dolan Nchizi, convener, Pensioner Bondholders Forum, and the past Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. You heard Senor LC earlier. If you're one of those affected, I want to hear from you tonight. 055-1111-997. News Night in a minute.